Yeah, hello and welcome to a new episode of our weekly Spielworxx chat season 2, as we now call it, because this sounds much more important. My name is Uli Blennemann, and before we come to our topic here, let me ask you a question. Is everything okay? I had a special problem here, a technical problem. Yes, there are people. Thank you. Hello, Rainer. Hello, Mo. Good to see you. Hello from Texas. Yeah, I'm having a guest today. It's designer Peter Rustemeyer, and I'm sure I will say several times Peter instead of Peter, but it's Peter Rustemeyer. Peter, how are you in these times?
Hello, I guess I'm doing all right. I had a nice lonely Christmas time, a nice lonely New Year, and now we hope it all gets better in the next month.
Yeah, maybe. So we are. I'm the born pessimist, so I'm saying no, it won't get better, but hopefully yes, it will. And Chris, good to see you here. So before we start, I would like to mention that now both the Cost and Throne of Allegoria are sold out from me directly from Spielworxx, and thank you very much to all of you. This is very much appreciated. And Mo, so you see your game sold out now, so we can think about the expansion for this one. But today we will mainly talk about Paleo, Peter's hit game from Hans im Glück. The English edition is by Z-Man Games. And that is the game. You can see it over here, and you see it directly behind Peter's right, isn't it? Yeah. And I will quickly type in the BGG URL here. So if you want to check out the game, and you should check it out, then this is the link for it. And by the way, if you have questions or comments, please post them in the chat window. We may actually respond. But I had the pleasure to play Paleo in prototype format a couple of years ago at Mallorca, at our Mallorca gathering for the first time. And when did you actually start working on Paleo, and why? What was the reason to play that?
Uh, I started developing it in early 2018, so about 3 years ago now. Uh, I had played this war of mine with a friend, and it had this interesting mechanic of event cards that would tell you something like, if you want to hide here, you have to pay 2 cards from the event deck. So you wouldn't really know what you pay with. There could be some horrible things under it, or it could be great things. And it was a bit of a fear of missing out and push your luck mechanic in there. But it was very, very convoluted and hidden under lots of stuff like read, if you want to do this, check on page 530, then throw a blue dice and do whatever. And I thought this mechanic could be in the center of a much simpler game. And yeah, so I just started to basically make a deck of cards with very simple actions. Pay 3 cards to gain 1 wood, pay 4 cards to gain 1 food, and started testing it with friends.
So when you're saying early 2018, then you brought it to Mallorca already in summer, and already at that time, although it was of course a much earlier format, it felt already developed. So did you work very hard on it for a couple of weeks, or how are you working, Peter, as a designer? Is it coming in ebbs and flows, or how do you work on this game?
Um, I put in a lot of time in this game, but most of it really fell into place by itself. I had like 3 days into the initial idea. I had already settled for the Stone Age theme, and then I needed some purpose. What would you do with the resources? What would you play the game for? And it was quite easy to use the theme to fill in the blanks. Like we would hunt some animals, we would craft some spears and a buy phase and whatever. Uh, and maybe in the end we would hunt a big mammoth, and that would be the goal of the game. Something like this. So I never had trouble to fill this game with content. It was, in my eyes, it was finished like 2 weeks after I started.
But this is a good sign. If you feel that you're really doing progress, that you're making progress, and that
Yeah.
there is something. I like this. And the theme connection. Why Stone Age? So it is because of your profession. So why did you move the game to the Stone Age?
I cannot really remember. I have a background in archaeology, so I know a little bit what I'm doing when I make a Stone Age game, a little bit more than other people. But I just wanted to have a co-op survival game, and I wanted a theme that was family friendly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah, I just landed there and stick with it.
Yeah, if it fits, then it fits. So why change it afterwards? And so let me just introduce or say hello to a couple of people. So hello Matt, hello Matthew, hello Matze, hello Daniel. Good to see you. And Matt is saying, so that is one of the designers. So he has really signed games with a good publisher, so with Spielworxx. So, but he's saying he's saying that he loves the cover. So I really like the cover as well, because it has a lot of white, which I like, and then only this central illustration. So I think Hans im Glück or whoever decided on this, they made a great choice here. But Paleo actually was not your first game, Peter, that has been published. Which other games or which other game is out there?
Yeah, I have one other published game, that is Barbaria. It's also a bit push your luck card game, but with dice in it. And it's more of a filler party game with a very silly theme. It was published by Hobby World from Russia first.
From
And
Russia
then
with love. Yeah.
yeah, and then I showed it to Feuerland, and they decided to make a German edition, which was sold out last year.
Which is great. And yeah, and you all know Feuerland from Terra Mystica and several other original German games, but they also license games like Barbaria, and then of course Gloomhaven, the German edition, has been licensed by Feuerland. And recently somebody may have heard of Flügelschlag, which is wingspan in German. And so Barbaria, wingspan, so same company, is always nice to be there. And I just posted the URL of that game. Please check that game out as well. And Rainer from Munich is asking, Peter, how do you correctly pronounce Paleo? Do you stress the first or second half of the word?
I say Paleo.
So Paleo would be the other choice. So I prefer Paleo as well, Rainer, but I don't know. So, but the designer, if
better for me,
if the designer says it's Paleo, then it's Paleo. And getting back to Paleo, which type of game is Paleo? So tell us a little bit more about Paleo, the game.
Yeah, you are a tribe in the Stone Age, and over the course of several missions, you will have to both survive, find enough food, not get eaten by animals or whatever danger is thrown your way, and eventually leave a mark in history. Like we have this big cave painting in the middle of the game board, and you try to finish this cave painting, which is basically victory points. And depending on what missions you play, you will have to do different tasks to get there while not dying.
So is each player representing a single person, or is it a group of person, or is it a tribe? So how is this defined?
You control a group of people. You are not a single person. We kept the humans very basic because we wanted to have death in the game. We wanted to have humans disappearing, dying, or whatever. And so we didn't want to make them heroes. We wanted to make them humans. So you will start with 2 humans in your group. Ideally, you will expand on that. But the more humans you gather, the more food you will have to gather as well.
Yeah, that is also a very neat mechanism. You can't simply hoard people so that your group of people is increasing. Of course you can do, but then of course there is this negative aspect when it's getting night. So there is also very cleverly done. So in your opinion, Peter, what are the central elements of Paleo? Which parts make Paleo special? So what is it? What is it about?
And there's basically this big fat deck of cards that builds the area that you play. And the cards have backs with, like, here's a mountain on the back side. I don't know if you can see it actually.
Can you move it a little bit closer to yeah.
There's a forest. I have them sleeved so they shine a bit. And on your turn you will decide, while only looking at the backs of cards, where you want to go. And you have a certain tendency what you may find on the other side, but you don't know for sure. So there's always this hoping that you will actually get what you were looking for. But of course, there's a lot of surprises hidden in there as well.
So yeah, let me briefly interrupt you, Peter, here. So let's say I'm playing a forest, a wood, a forest thing. So what am I expecting to get? So what is my intention to get from such a card?
You would hope for some wood or some berries.
And if I'm playing, there are also cards with a red back. So what do they mean?
They are the not so friendly cards. These are dangers or challenges. You could find a wolf there, or you get hurt by some thorns in the wood or whatever. And because in Paleo we pay with cards we didn't look at. So something we do not see all cards. Why would you ever look at a red card? If you don't look at red cards and use them to pay actions on other cards, you take wounds for it. It's basically our mechanic to say you got hurt while you hunted a boar, or you fell down a mountain while you gathered some stones. So you have this little hand management thing in there that you do I look at the red cards? Maybe it's not so bad. Maybe I can actually defeat the wolf on the other side. Maybe I can even tame him. Or do I collect some wood and pay with red cards and hope they are away now, and they would have been worse if I had looked at them.
So there is of course no real currency in the game to buy stuff, but often you have the mechanic that you need to discard cards to get more stuff. So in effect there is a currency in the game, isn't there?
Yeah, it's time. It takes time to collect some berries. So when you have 20 cards in your deck and you reveal one card, it shows berries, and you pay 2 cards, then you spend 3 of the 20 hours of a day to get those berries. And they will feed 1 or 2 humans. That's a good thing, but maybe the time wasn't spent wise. Maybe there would have been better choices on the other cards.
Yes.
Yes, it's a currency.
Yeah. So let's say we are playing a 2-player game, Peter, now. So and we have our initial hand of cards, but it's not a hand of card. And then how many cards do we play at the same time? Is this terribly complex, or how do you see this? So
turns are simultaneous in Paleo. We both check our top 3 cards, only the backs. We decide on one, and then we reveal them at the same time. and then we look what is on them, and then we can also decide if we really want to do our own cards, if we can do our own cards, or if we want to help the other player.
Yeah, which is also a very important mechanism, and we will get to that. But we may, before we decide which of our 3 cards to use, we may talk about this. So this is not secret, right?
No, there's no secrets in this game. You are allowed to talk, and you are encouraged to talk. You will not beat the later levels when everybody sits there quietly and only plays their own deck of cards.
Yeah, this is really something that I found exceptionally well done in the game, because I'm as you know here, if you are regular viewers of this chat, I'm a fan of storytelling and of a story in games, a narrative arc in games. And Paleo achieved this without a lot of artificial rules, so you don't have flavor text on the cards which tell you, this is this. No, so you don't have to check a separate booklet in the game, go to that, and I'm telling my other players what I'm currently doing. Of course, it's Stone Age, but there is no app to it which I have to check and then get additional info. Everything is done on the table, so I can tell my other player, we need more food. We need this in the evening before it's night. So please do this. And of course, they have their own. They can say, no, I think this is better now to do it in this way. So, but there's always talk at the table, but not artificial thing. And the mechanics of the game are really not that complex. And Peter, do you see the game more as in the Kenner category or in the standard Spiel des Jahres category? So more a family type game. How do you see the game?
I see the game in the Kenner category. The rules are not terribly complicated, but we expect some things from you that are not easily conveyed to traditional families. Like I try to play with my parents, it's basically impossible. When you've played a lot of games, you will recognize lots of the things that are going on here, and you will have an easy way to get into the game. But for really new players, this is a bit too much, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Maybe 20 years ago, this game would be Spiel des Jahres, but of course there was no Kenner category. But as you see, it has changed. And if you see Wingspan, Flügelschlag from Feuerland was also in a Kenner category. I think this is also Kenner category. And while the mechanics, and Peter is completely right, are simple, it's still something unusual for a lot of family type players to talk constantly and have your own goal in the game, or the group goals. So I think yes.
One of the biggest problems is something that I really like about the game, that we do not show you how to win. You have to find out while you play. Somewhere in the big deck of cards there are victory points hidden behind some challenges. You have to first find these cards, actually choose them, reveal them, and then you have to solve the problems on these cards to win the game. But there's no clear path to victory on the game board, what a lot of players expect. You have to go on a journey, you have to go on an adventure, you have to explore what's in the deck this time. And yeah, this leads to lots of troubles with new players. Like in the first mission, you have to build a tent every night, and we have for people you have to find a place to sleep. And in the deck, there are lots of free places to sleep, but we also made a very expensive tent recipe for people who have no other choice but to build a tent instead of sleeping in a cave. And I see lots of players jumping on this tent recipe because this is the only thing they can put their finger on, this is for certain. If I have 2 wood and 2 fur, I can build a tent. I will now build a tent. But this is really not what you should do. This is just what you maybe have to do if you otherwise are in trouble.
Yeah, but I think this is really a strength of the game, that it is wide open. Nowadays, you know this from video games, but it's also more and more in tabletop games. A lot of games tell you this is a sandbox game. And it's open world and sandbox. And in video games, it's as you all know, it's always, or not always, but most of the time, it's very shallow. So you can't really explore a full city because there is nothing. And in some tabletop games, it's the same thing. But here, actually, everything is possible in the mind of the players. The cards give you some directions, but they are not telling you, do this. This will earn you immediately 3 victory points, and you need 10 victory points till the evening. So I think this is one of the major qualities of the game. So it's really well done. But we need to briefly go back to Feuerland here, because Matt is saying Feuerland was your competition for Squaring Circle, Win Udi. So that is a game I signed. You see, Matt, you did everything well. You moved the game to me and not to Feuerland. You see, oh, well, Matt, you should have known better. And Daniel, yes, you should check out Feuerland. It's a really a great company, and I can only tell you, check them out. It's wonderful people, and you can't go wrong there. And Daniel is also saying, I think I would find it very frustrating to start a game and not know how to win. Yeah, well, this may be something that we didn't spell out completely correct. Yes, the game tells you how to win. It says you need 5 victory points, which is, by the way, done by this very nice Lascaux cave painting. So you get 1 victory point, one piece of this for a victory point. But Peter, it doesn't tell you more, right? How do you see this? Is this frustrating for you, or how do you see this?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, right. How do you see this? I thought you were falling asleep by my monologue.
For me, this is part of exploration. I throw you in a scenario, and you have to find a solution for it. And it's not like you are completely blind, or
No.
The missions that you play give you a kind of a clue what you have to do.
Yeah.
Like in the first mission says, there's lots of mammoths at the river, go hunt them. So maybe we put some victory points on some big mammoths. When you meet a pack of wolves, maybe we put some victory points on the wolves. It's not completely hidden what you're doing, but you don't know where in the deck it is and what you need for it. This is something you have to find out. Maybe you reveal some cards in the first turn and you cannot solve them, but you know they are in the deck. Next turn, they are still waiting for you.
Yeah, in my opinion, really, Daniel, it's a feature of the game. It's really an advantage. It's a feature. And as Peter explained much better than I could ever do this, it's not completely hidden. So you know some things, there are some hints. You are a tribe or a part of a tribe, so you basically know what to do. But there are, of course, surprises in life. So that's what the game tries to achieve. And the game also, Peter, you won't see this now, has a great table presence. So I stole 2 pictures from BGG, which I want to briefly show. So this is the first one. So you see here, everything's from cardboard and cards. And so this one puts it together. You can put the cards in there. So this really looks fantastic. So the table presence of Paleo, although and it's hard, it's a card game, is fantastic. And I'll show you something else here. This is one card of the game, and you have several options on them. And this card here is important to me personally too, because I got some mails recently asking if there was COVID-19 in the Stone Age. And the bottom info on the card clearly shows that there was no COVID-19, because you see the handshake there. And of course, if there would be COVID-19 in the Stone Age, there wouldn't be that handshake on the cards. You see, you learn from the best. Paleo also makes you smarter. So you see, this is something that you learn from a game. So no COVID-19 in the Stone Age, proven by Paleo. So Peter, will Paleo be expanded? And how will it be expanded?
I certainly hope so, and we're currently working on it. It's we will first start with adding just a lot of cards, more missions to play, more base cards, maybe a new base deck, so that there are like 32 cards, I think it is, that are present in every game. And if you've played it 10 times, you will kind of know what's in there. And only the cards from the missions change from game to game. So, but we will maybe give you 30 new cards, maybe harder cards, so then that when you revisit old missions, you will still find surprises. We can maybe add new tools or new humans. Yeah, I can throw stuff from every direction at this game.
But this is already planned by the publisher, by Hans im Glück, right? Or is it? Yeah, very good. So there will be more Paleo stuff. So this is also fantastic news. And Daniel is saying, yeah, it's COVID 20,000 BC. So yes, it's not 19. I was wrong. But Matt is saying...
We have a whole mission about sickness.
Excellent.
Matt, and you also find a cure there.
Yeah, that, of course, it's BioNTech 20,000 BC. But Matt is saying it's amazing how popular cardboard constructibles have become in games. I feel like Colt Express accelerated this trend. Yes. And I like them because, you know, you want to have something special and it really looks cool on the table. Make no doubt about it. Yes, this is a card game. You don't need this. You don't need it, but it looks so much cooler and it attracts people to the table. So I think if cleverly done, and in this game it's definitely cleverly done, we will see more of this. And Matt is saying, confirming, I like them too, gives a game a toy feeling. Yes, also, this is something that is really good. But Peter, on which other games are you working right now? So is there anything else apart from Paleo?
I'm currently working very little on games because I can't get people at the table to test them.
Yeah.
And all my games that I've planned are very interactive and lots of stuff to talk about at the table. So you cannot really simulate this by playing on your own. No. I do not really care which Peter wins a negotiation game.
Yeah, me neither.
So I have put most of them on hold and wait for better times at the moment. And I'm busy enough with Paleo.
Yeah.
Next month.
So that is always good. So, okay, we'll finish this episode with 3 quick questions and very quick answers. So no long thinking, Peter. So first question, and although I asked this question before, I kind of like it, so I'm repeating it. Peter, we are in non-COVID times again. You are planning a 4-player game. Which 3 people would you like to invite to a game night? And these can be people that are not in gaming at all. Which 3 people would you like to invite to your gaming table to play a game? Quick answers too.
I'd probably pick anyone from the Mallorca team. Any 3 of them. I really miss you guys. That's from the German designer and publisher convention there.
Yeah, we had this mentioned here in an earlier chat as well. That's a Mallorca editors meeting. So any 3, so that was, you weaseled something out of this question, Peter. I will write this down. Not really well answered. And Daniel is saying, if you don't say Uli, his feelings will be hurt. No. So
But Uli is,
At Mallorca, nobody wants to play with me anyway. No, everything's okay. Second question: which game mechanism would you like to see more in tabletop games? So, which mechanism do you think is underrepresented in tabletop games? Is there something that comes to mind?
I split you choose.
That's nice. That's really a very easy, clever mechanic for a group. And Spielworxx fans, you know, it's a small, very small part in Throne of Allegoria. There is that mechanism. But yes, I agree. That's a very good answer. And final question: what is your favorite hockey team, Peter?
This must be the Iserlohn Roosters.
Amazing, amazing. So this
Of course
team,
they are.
the Iserlohn Roosters, is the most popular team everywhere. The USA, various parts, Portugal, now Germany. And by the way, Peter, I'm not sure if you even mentioned this. You are from Cologne, Germany, and yesterday the Roosters won in Cologne. So you see, so that is of course they did. Of course they did. Yeah, Peter, it was my pleasure having you as my guest, and thank you very much for this. And in my opinion, Paleo is a very strong contender for German Kennerspiel of the Year. So I really think this is the game is that strong, and everybody should get out and get their copy and play and enjoy it. So really, Paleo is a hit game. And publishers, it does not make sense to get in touch with Peter, because Spielworxx will release all of his future designs. So no chance for you. No, kidding aside,
Okay.
if you aren't if you aren't already doing so, please keep Peter in mind for future games, and please get in touch with him. And next week we will have a regular episode here with me talking Spielworxx news, gaming news, industry news. And if you would like to talk about a specific topic, please drop me a mail in advance at uli@spielworxx.de. That is uli@spielworxx.de, and I will see if I can fit this in. So thank you all very much. It was a pleasure. And till then, bleibt gesund. Black Lives Matter. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me.